Hi, sixth graders. Welcome back to science class. This is Miss Ellingson, and today I wanted to talk about cells, and specifically all the parts of the cells. So let's get started with what is a cell. So cells make up all living organisms and help keep them alive and functioning. So throughout all organisms, cells are very similar. They have slight differences depending on what their main goal is and how they produce, take in energy, and things like that. So as a human, we are made up of all cells, and cells are the smallest functioning unit of our body. Um, so our cells are specific to us. So it starts with it's cell within the body. It's like building blocks. So cells is the smallest, and then it goes and builds up, and cells just keep building up. Um, and then within the cells, they contain organelles that have specific functions to keep that cell running. And all of these cells in our body are like this. And there's trillions of cells in our body. So here's all the parts of our cells. And like I said, I used the word organelle in the last slide, and those are the small structures within our cells that carry out specific functions. Um, so we have the cell wall, cell membrane, centrosomes, cytoplasm, ribosomes, mitochondria, the endoplasmic reticulum, which we shorten to ER because it's a very big word, and that has two parts, the smooth and rough, Golgi apparatus, lysosomes, nucleus, and that's what we're going to talk about today. And when we are talking about cells, I want you to kind of think of a cell as like a factory. So one part is like has the main instructions and tells everybody else what to do. One part takes the instructions and transports it to where it needs to be, and then that part makes it, and then the other part labels it for transportation, and then another part takes it and transports it where it needs to go. We have the garbage. There's just a lot of factors when you think about it. So I think the factory analogy is a really good thing to think about um, with cells. So yeah, we'll just keep this in mind as we keep going. I think it's very useful. And then for the purpose of the slideshow, I am mainly only going to be referring to animal cells, just for the purpose of learning cells, and then we'll talk about more later. So let's start with organelles. So the first thing is cell wall. We're going to break our only uh, talking about animal cells for the purpose of this one. So the cell wall helps keep the shape of a cell, but is only found in plant cells. And this makes sense, and I wanted to talk about this because plant cells are very structured rectangles, so that cell wall keeps it structured. But with an animal cell, they don't have cell walls, so they are round and just have like a membrane, kind of thin layer. That's I just wanted to talk about this to show you why it's structured like this. So what the animal cells do have is the cell membrane, and which is also referred to as the plasma membrane. And this membrane creates a layer from the inside of the cell to the outside of the cell, and it has selective permeability properties. And what that means is that it allows certain things to come in and go out, and it kind of gets to choose. So things like water can go in and out without it kind of asking, if you want to say that. But it also has like ports where a lot of things can come in, and it can judge if they want that to come in or not. And then I have a video for you guys to watch of how that really works, that selective permeability with the cell membrane.
With their hydrophobic cores and charged surfaces, cell membranes are very efficient at blocking passage of many molecules. Some molecules, such as water, dissolved oxygen, and simple alcohols, are able to pass through cell membranes freely by passive diffusion. However, charged molecules and large molecules cannot pass directly through cell membranes, and hydrophobic molecules tend to become stuck inside the
So, I hope this video shows up, but like I was saying before, that's just very basic. There's a lot of big words in there that we'll get to later, but things can come in and out, and it can kind of choose what wants to go in and out. So next is centrosomes, and centrosomes are not necessarily essential in the daily portion of a cell, but are very important when it comes to cell divisions. So the centrosomes create or go at the end and kind of create spindles and connect to the chromosomes, which is the chromosomes hold all of the recipes for all the protein, help make more cells. So we'll get into that more later too. But basically, what centrosomes do is help pull the cell apart and pull these chromosomes apart to create two new cells from this. Then we have the cytoplasm, and the cytoplasm is it's a gel-like liquid that suspends all of these organelles within the cell in this liquid. So a lot of cellular processes happen here. So protein synthesis. So a lot of products are made within here. So like all these organelles. Cellular respiration that's where a lot of that's where the cell gets a lot of their energy, and then cell division happens in there. And then we have ribosomes, which a lot of time you see as little dots, but then when you get close, there are these little spindly things because they're making proteins. There's all little parts. But their main function, like I said, is to create proteins. So a lot of the DNA, they take like the DNA and transport it into a product. So they're taking the recipe and making the product. They help make a lot of products for the cells, and then they can be found in the cytoplasm, just floating around, or on the ER, and we will get to that. And then here we have the mitochondria, which I would not be surprised if you've heard of this because it's probably the most popular thing about cells. The mitochondria is often referred to as the powerhouse of the cell. So all this energy making, a lot of the energy making happens within here. So they're very important to the cell, and especially cells where in muscles or wherever that in the body that create a lot of energy. Now we have the endoplasmic reticulum, and then I said it was like we're going to change it to ER because it's a lot to say. And the ER has two parts, which is the smooth and rough ER. So the ER surrounds the nucleus and is basically taking the instructions and making and labeling the product. So very important. So the rough ER, it's called rough ER because it has all the ribosomes on the outside, and remember ribosomes make protein. So the rough ER is responsible for making a lot of the products from the nucleus. And then we have the smooth ER, and it's smooth because it's just smooth on the outside, and it doesn't have ribosomes. So, and then here is where a label is put on the product so it can be transported to its designated area. Then we have the Golgi apparatus, which is essential for transporting the cells. So it's going to create a little vesicle, which is kind of a little bubble, and take it to the place it needs to go. We have a little video again.
Welcome to Moo Math and
See if I can find this.
And the outside is called the trans. all eukaryotic cells, so it's found in plant and animal
Uh,
cells. The Golgi apparatus receives these proteins, lipids, and other chemicals from the rough ER and modifies and packs them into vesicles. These vesicles then pinch off and travel to 3 locations. They may travel to the lysosome and carry.
okay, so, and then what he was going to say is they can go to places to be broken down, they can go to places to be absorbed, and so on.
Welcome to Moo.
Oops. And then we have the lysosome, which is kind of like the garbage place of the cell. So it's here to kind of clean up. And how I remember this, what the lysosome does is I kind of think lysosome sounds like Lysol, so we're cleaning it up. And it's a membranous sac that is filled with enzymes. So, and these enzymes help break down waste the cell does not want anymore or need anymore. And then lastly, we have the brain of the cell, which is the nucleus. So it controls all the functions of the cell, and the ball in the middle holds all the DNA, which is like the recipe book for the cell to make the products that they need.